Hey guys, so we got a big rumored leak about the Nintendo Switch today, and this comes courtesy of NW Player 123 on Twitter. They've leaked a few things in the past that have been kind of reliable about the Switch, and all of a sudden, they just hit their Twitter handle with a ton, and I mean just a ton of information that they have gathered from, I assume, developers that they know or something, but a lot of it is apparently turning out to be true, and people are talking about how other developers are kind of coming forward and saying that this looks legitimate. And I have to say, they have a ton of pictures, so if this isn't legitimate, it is a very complex to very, very good hoax, because it looks very, very real. But once again, it is rumored right now. Nothing is confirmed by Nintendo or anybody, so take it as such, even though it looks pretty good. So they do hit us with the full spec list. Now, I don't even really want to get into it because it's the same exact spec sheet that we had a while ago, and nothing on it is very different at all, so I'm not even going to look over it. I mean, it's the exact same thing that we saw before with the A57s, the Maxwell, everything. So I assume that's just from a dev kit that they had in July, because that's apparently when that information is from. No, the other stuff I'm really interested in here is more about the operating system, because there is a lot of stuff outlining how the OS is going to work and different things for the online mode as well. So they do start kind of by talking about the game cards themselves, the little cartridges. Say it's going to support anywhere from 1 to 32 gigs of storage, which is pretty good. I mean, 32 gigs would be able to fit any Wii U disc on there and then some, considering the Wii U discs were up to 25 gigs. And like the single layer Blu-rays are 25 gigs, dual layers, of course, are up to 50. So a 32 gig is probably fine for now. I'm sure if it ever was needed, they could manufacture and put out a 64 gig card, which would eclipse any Blu-ray. Talk about wired LAN through one of the USBs being 1 gigabits per second. That's great. That's more than most of us would need anyway, and I'm sure at that point latency would be very low as well. And this is where things get pretty interesting, because they do outline the home menu, which looks good. See, the thing I really wanted about the home menu, because remember, it has to be on that smaller screen as well as the larger screen. I want it to be simplified and not have just a bunch of stuff everywhere, all over the place. You know, I want it to be very quick, very seamless, and just nothing really to distract you or get crazy or slow the system down. They show us a very clean-cut looking home menu here, and I like the look of it. Honestly, I hope this is the look of it. It looks very easy to do. They did say, though, that the one on the Switch site is a more up-to-date version of this, but again, as long as they keep it nice and clean, I'm happy with it. Now, we did, of course, get the news that there is no web browser, or at least any plans to have one currently at launch, or maybe even in the future, maybe you see one, but according to this, there is a web applet that will let apps launch a very, very stripped down, very simple web browser for things like what we were talking about, where maybe you're near a portal, you have to sign in to use the internet. There you go. You can use this little web applet. It says developers will have access to the applet in games as well if they need to open a very simplified browser for any reason. We also have word that you cannot save any of your stuff back to the card. It's all going to be saved to the system. That's not a big deal, considering the system has 32 gigs of onboard space. That's plenty for all of the kilobytes or even megabytes of saved memory. However, the other really cool thing that I mentioned, that I see here, is that they are planning to have cloud storage for your games, and that would actually help, I guess, justify the cost of the online service, considering then they are standing up servers that would save all of our information in the cloud for saved games, which is great. That way, if your system gets broken or lost, let's be honest here, it is a handheld system, which means when you're taking it places, there's always a chance of it being destroyed or someone picking it up, and running off with it. That way, at least your save games will still be around. It'll be saved to the cloud. You sign back in with your network ID, which is another thing they talk about here, and then you can get all of your save games back, which is awesome. They also mentioned that voice chat is supported through the tablet. I talked about this yesterday, that the actual tablet system does have the imprint of the headset with the mic next to the headphone jack. I asked him, he said yes. So I kind of already had an idea of this. They do talk about how the system itself, when undocked, does not have a microphone built in. Again, that's fine. I don't think any of us would use the built-in microphone to chat with people anyway, because it's probably a very low-quality one. Most of us would probably want to get a halfway decent one if we're going to be doing voice chat. I do like the idea here of the OS having overlays for the game, so if server maintenance is going on and it's currently can't go online with the game, it has an overlay that tells you, hey, service maintenance is going on. I like that idea, instead of having to actually go into the game and then going through matchmaking and then it tells you. That way it saves a little bit of time, and I think it's just something else to pull the OS together controller there. There's also a screen lock, which makes a lot of sense when it is in handheld mode. It's very easy, obviously, at times to, people butt dial people all the time, to have some kind of screen lock so that you have to hit the button hit it once, turn it on, then you tap the screen 3 times. I don't know if there's a sliding mechanic, but they were talking about you tapping it 3 times. They also said you can turn it off if you want, so it doesn't have to be on if you just don't like doing that. Maybe you're just walking around the house with it and you're not going to be just randomly pressing it. Press it once, turn it on is also supported. I also noticed something else that's very interesting. They had a subscription service item listed on here, which would be for if you want to play like World of Warcraft, for example. You have a 30 or 60 day time that you pay for. It looks like the Switch would also support a service that you pay for as a subscription service. So that tells me that there could be a couple things. My biggest thought, though, obviously, is an MMO. Maybe we'll see games like MMORPGs actually come to the system that you can, actually play on the handheld around the house or in the dock. That's great because that adds a whole nother layer to the system if you start seeing different MMOs come over. And of course, I'll always cross my fingers for Phantasy Star Online too, if we ever see that. After this, we end up getting into the entire account system for online play. You can have 8 accounts per system, which is just obviously divided up for each person. So if you have an account, your brother has an account, your sister has an account, you can keep those separate from each other, which is good. I assume your save games would stay with each account then as well. So if you load up Zelda with your account, you don't have to worry about erasing their game by accident and vice versa. Talked about how adding friends requires a Nintendo account. Obviously, if you're going online, you're adding friends, you need that Nintendo account that you probably have to pay for, the service fee that they were talking about, somewhere in the $20-ish range. And then, of course, they do have it so you can do 300 friends per user, which is not a bad number. That's, I think, a pretty fair number. And then you can favorite some friends, and favorite friends are displayed pretty much preferentially over other friends in your list, so they'll be towards the top most of the time. They do talk about how you need a Nintendo account, more than likely the paid one, to do pretty much everything minus system updates and a few things. I assume the other few things are actually buying stuff. I don't think they would bar you from buying things with a paid account. You could probably still go on there and just buy single-player games and play those fine. They go on also to talk about the JoyCons. Nothing we didn't really already know. For example, the grip won't charge it. Obviously, we know that. You need to buy the separate charge grip. But they also talk about how the JoyCons will not charge when connected if it's on battery. That's just, of course, a safe battery for the main unit that's already probably taken a beating from all the stuff going on in that system. However, when it is on dock, of course, it will then charge the JoyCons as well, but it's only one way for when you actually put it on when it's portable, and that is not to the JoyCons. It would just use communication through Bluetooth. There is a little bit of information about that capture button, about how it's mostly going to be the primary use of that album. If you look down there, you see kind of the little album symbol. Whenever you take pictures of stuff, it's going to go in there when you're using that capture button. Now, I was trying to hit it when I was actually playing any of the games. However, it was locked. That and the home menu button were both locked, which is fine. I assume they didn't want me doing that, which is fine. But they do tell us that it's going to be JPEG format. It's going to be the same exact resolution of the screen itself at 720, 1280 by 720. 500 kilobytes or less, which is good. It says it's also to be determined, but that's about right for a 720p image like that. And then it's also going to tell you capture date and time and title identifier signature. You can apparently change a lot of that stuff as well if you want to save it under a certain name or anything like that. Overall, there wasn't really anything massive in here. Now, you can look at, again, the system specs, but you're going to look at it and realize you've seen it other places. It's because you have. It's the same stuff we've already been seeing, so don't even worry too much about that right now. Otherwise, though, I'm happy to see that the game cards are up to 32 gigs because we heard it might be stuck at 16. It's good to hear that there is a possibility of 32 gig being there at launch. I assume maybe Xenoblade 2 would probably need that 32 gig card. I like the look of the home menus, like I said. I like the idea of the web applet to get us into Wi-Fi spots that need a browser portal. So there's a lot of stuff here that looks good. We're still back and forth on this headset thing with voice chat. I've personally seen the little thing stamped next to it, but that also depends if they want us to use it or they want us to use it through this weird cell phone app. I don't know. There's so much stuff we still need to hear about. I need a Nintendo Direct tomorrow, so they don't have much time. We have to see it soon, very soon. I don't know. I'm hoping I'm hoping, okay, so Studio Q, very quickly, did a quick live stream thing where he talked about a rumor that he had heard, and the rumor said that he had heard was that 2 weeks prior to launch for the Switch, we will get some more information, which includes a direct of some kind that I assume is going to outline everything else we need to know, the operating system, the online service, the virtual console, any of that stuff. Otherwise, apparently, you and I are going to have our own Nintendo Direct that night when it comes out, because I'll just turn it on and say, "Yep, here it is." I assume they don't want that. They probably want to tell us themselves. So we'll see. I'll let you guys know if I hear anything else about a Nintendo Direct. If you want to check out this leak here, I'll leave a link for you guys in the description to the Reddit post. And tomorrow I'm going to do a live Q&A for my experiences. I'm sure I missed some stuff from yesterday when I talked about the Nintendo Switch. Well, actually this morning when I talked about it. And if that's the case, I think tomorrow I'm going to do a live stream at noon, and we'll go for about an hour or so, and you guys can just ask me questions in the chat. I'll do my best to answer. If you miss it, I will have it upload so that you guys can watch it down the road. But otherwise, let me know what you think about this rumor, guys. I'm very curious, and I will see you next time.